on a Black History special for you guys. I'm asked often, what books do I read for inspiration? How do I get so much content? For my blog, which is on kevindorval.com. Inspiration to write my books. As you all know, I've written 4 books, or really 3, but the last one that's coming out, Americans in France, is a Thousand-Year War Against Haiti, Assassination of a Nation. It's my up and coming book. It's going to be a bestseller, very controversial, powerful information. But today, and as people jump in and chime in on this video, because I love to hear some of you guys' inputs on what you think. What do you suggest? So these are my top 10 books for self-empowerment, freedom fighters, and just Black history. You know, we have some of the best history and most exciting history in the world. I don't care if you're coming from way in Sudan to the Caribbean islands, even here in America. You know what I'm saying? Some of the best history in the world. So I know Black History Month is a short month and I'm gonna get so many days. And before this month is over with, I just wanted to make sure I drop this video. So bear with me on some of this content. And again, please like, subscribe, share this, drop a comment. I love hearing feedback to know that I'm not alone out here in this internet world. So, what do we have here? We have, of course, I wrote this book here. We'll get to that in a minute. But let me start off with a banger. The Winning the Mirror, Activating Superpowers, Mind, Body, and Spirit, as you can see. Now, first and foremost, you guys got to see this book here by Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey wrote this book, Life and Lessons of Marcus Garvey. I'm going to read this. I'm going to actually read a few passages or one passage from the books here, at least so you guys get a taste of it. So you go ahead and write this down. If you have a question on which book I talked about, of course you can rewind, ask a question in the comment section, and drop your opinion. So, African American or African Fundamentalism by Edward, edited by Marcus Garvey. Editorial: fellow men of Negro race, greeting. This The time has come for the Negro to forget and cast behind him his hero worship and adoration of other races, and to start out immediately to create and emulate heroes of his own image. We must canonize our own saints, create our own martyrs, and elevate to the position of fame, of honor, of men and women who have made their distinct contributions to our racial history. Sojourner Truth is worthy of the place of sainthood alongside of Joan of Arc, Crispus Attucks, and George William Gordon, are entitled to the halo of martyrdom than those of any other race. Toussaint Louverture, General Toussaint Louverture, brilliancy as a soldier and statesman has outshone that of Cromwell, Napoleon, and Washington. Hence, he is entitled to the highest place as a hero among men. Africa has produced countless numbers of men and women in war and peace whose luster, bravery outshine that of any other people, then why not see good and perfection in ourselves? So this is a book that I've read a few times. I don't even know how many times I read the book, but the passage I just read to you guys, I've read it countless times. I even at one point in time I had it memorized. I still do. I just gotta brushing up. But this is actually on my office desk. A few books on my office desk. This is one of them. And of course, he goes into, if you don't know, talks about, self importance, self reliance, empowerment, self empowerment, motivation, business, etiquette. He was a multimillionaire. He was also the founder of the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, advancement of colored people, and he really, 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 was going hard for black folks. He didn't care where he was from. Now he is from Jamaica, native from the Caribbean island, moved here to America to meet Booker T. Washington, but by the time he got to America, Booker T. Washington was gone. But by 1919, this gentleman here, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, actually was one of the most important individuals in Black history. This guy was the shiznick. He made it happen. when other people were scared to make it happen. He really stood and, started all kinds of black movements, man, black businesses up the Wahoo, man, up there in New York, Harlem. One of the things I find funny about Marcus Garvey, but also inspires me about him is that his first speech was on a corner somewhere in Harlem. It was a speaker's block, and speakers would come from all over the country or the world to speak at this corner. So that he finally had his time to stand on that block to speak, up there in New York, and he fell on his face. Not only was he nervous, but he fell on his face. Most people would have never got back up there or speak anywhere. Marcus Garvey, just like a true soldier, got back up, brushed himself off, and came back at a later date to go ahead and speak again. This time he studied great orators, and really helped him tremendously. So becoming a great orator, writer, entrepreneur, the Black Steamship, Black Star Line, Negro World newspaper. I mean, the things he was able to accomplish and to, combat racism during Jim Crow era, to combat the Ku Klux Klan, the racism, the blatant racism, the lynchings. I mean, so this, they wanted us to be in a captive state, to be terrorized. We were terrorized by the clans here in America, but he had a different mindset, a different perspective, and he wanted black folks to see we shouldn't be here just being servants. We should be business owners. We should be landowners, doctors and lawyers, peoples of importance, and reinvesting back into our youth, reinvesting back into our community. I believe the black community will do very well, very, very well. No, I don't think. I know we'll do very well if we were to get back to studying these type of things, and understanding the importance of independence, and understanding the importance of you know that camaraderie amongst each other in the black community. So I definitely, definitely, definitely love to give my brother a big shout out, for what he's done and what he accomplished and the legacy that he created. What I'm saying? He wasn't just for self, he was about empowering the black community. So definitely, guys, Marcus Garvey's Life and Lessons, definitely a book to read. Something that I think most people should really, really check out, and not just, because you might not even heard of Marcus Garvey. It might have been the first time you heard of Marcus Garvey from me. But I guarantee you one thing: once you start studying his work, you're gonna start opening up your eyes. You're gonna start really acknowledging and realizing the type of situation we are in as black people. Because when he before he wrote this book, and I believe this was published, I would guess around 19. If I was guessing, man, I would say he wrote this book 1923. Let's see if I'm right. This book was published in one of the copyrights. Well, the copyright is 1987, but the dates on this book and a lot of these speeches you're talking about from 1915 to 1930. But nonetheless, um, lesson 10, economy. I just spoke about economy. Marcus Garvey definitely on that. So let's empower the black community by supporting each other. All right, the next book on my plate, and this is not going by list by any means, but I just want to go through a few people. There's one book I wanted to show you guys by Mrs. Plassey. Well, she didn't write it, but they wrote it about her. Mrs. Where's that book? I have like so many books around me, but I wanted Mama Pleasant. I want to teach you guys about Mrs. Pleasant. But nonetheless, look up Mama Pleasant. All right, look at Mama Pleasant. She's the one that funded the Civil War. Well, funded the battle that triggered the Civil War, because he funded John Brown, who was, started like actually the catalyst for the Civil War, because the nation was just on edge, wanted to keep us in bondage, keep us in slavery. But Mama Pleasant funded John Brown, who was a white guy. Miss Mama Pleasant being a black woman, she secretly funded the first abolition battle, physical gun battle, because she was rich, black lady who resided in California, moved to California rather, during the gold rush and gold boom, and she was lending money, to white, black, Native Americans, whoever needed money, she would loan it to them. But she wasn't doing it herself directly because as a woman, people weren't respecting her back then. You talking about, eight like post Civil War era. You know what I'm saying? So people weren't trying to mingle with black people, particularly a black woman. So she would be in her carriage and she'll pay a white man who she trusted to handle her business affairs. So he'll go back and forth, give the message, whether she wanted to loan the money or not, et cetera, et cetera. But she made a killing with it. You know what I'm saying? And she also supported many black politicians who are running for elections in California. Very powerful woman. I'm very surprised I haven't heard much about her growing up or as a grown man. So it's like you seldomly hear about Mama Pleasant. All right, one of my personal favorites, and it's autographed by the Queen herself, Frances Cress Welsing, on the ISIS Papers, revolutionary writing. Mrs. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was by far one of the most critical thinkers, analytical writers. I mean, she was black psych. She rest in peace. She's a black psychologist, and she wrote this book based on a dissertation to get her doctor's degree. And as she wrote this book, well, the dissertation, she realized that she wanted to more people need to know about this. So she turned to a book, ended up being a bestseller. Like she wrote this. I'm not sure how many books uh, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing wrote, but I do know this. This book alone, she was able to build a very powerful and reputable career lecturing in universities, colleges, community centers, empowering Black folks to think for themselves and to analyze the hatred and the violence imposed on us as Black folks. This book here, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, ISIS Papers. I could definitely read a few passages here, but I want to just, give you guys a taste of what she was about. And there's so many good things in here, so many good notes. Psychological liberation. Let's try that, huh? Armed with such insight, knowledge, and understanding, non-whites will cease to be vulnerable to the behavioral maneuverings of individual collective whites. Non-whites will be less vulnerable to the messages of white superiority that radiate throughout the known universe and permeate world cultures, which are dominated by a white supremacy system. This understanding will have profound effects on the developing egos and self images of non white children. Very important information. Who suffer severe damage under white culture supremacy. Moreover, whenever there are confronted with ideology of white superiority, white supremacy, non-whites will understand that this is only a compensatory psychological adjustment for a genetic numerical deficiency state. Thus, the white supremacy message can be evaluated and negated more readily. This allows non-whites to gain psychological liberation from white ideological domination that negatively affects the total function of whites. Further, the non-whites will be less vulnerable to be maneuvered into conflict with one another, thus weakening the continued domination of white supremacy system. So that's pretty much the level, the energy that she gives on this book. Very powerful information. If you on YouTube, obviously you watch me here. Google Dr. Francis Cress Welsing or just the ISIS papers, ISIS papers, the keys to the colors. This book was published in 1991 and it's one of my most prized books. If I had to skip town quickly and I only had time to take three books with me, this would be one of them. I'm just saying. Also, moving along, I want to tell you guys about this book, one of my personal favorites, The Black Jacobins and the Haitian Revolution by C.L.R. James. Now, this book here, I mean, I must have read it twice, maybe three times, maybe some parts five times. One of the greatest books I've ever read. just the knowledge, the information, and it's just opening up many rabbit holes for me to get into because I want to learn more and more and more about my ancestors. I didn't mention it. I get it's a flag didn't tell you. I am a Haitian. I'm African Haitian, born and raised Fort Lauderdale. My mom and dad both from Haiti, and I've always had appreciation for my culture. And truth be told, I've always known to be proud of being Haitian and happy being Haitian, honored to be Haitian, but it wasn't until I was my junior year in college. It wasn't until my junior year in college I took two courses, African Studies course, which we fought for because there wasn't any course teaching African studies, and you have a school 6%, well, not 60, but more like 50, 55% black. But there's no African studies course. There's Asian studies, there's of course, American studies, learning about Jewish people, Germany, Asia, like all of that, but no African studies. So I sacrificed and we fought, we lobbied, and we got the school, FAU, to finally put on a African studies course. At the time, I didn't have a car. I was going through all kind of craziness, but I did not want my children. I didn't have children at the time. I was that was 2002. So you got 12 years later, I have children. So 2002, is that right? No, 22 years later, I have children. So that was a long time ago. But this book here, and I took the history of Caribbean, there's things that I, believed had happened, or I had different theories. Like there's one, for example, General Toussaint Louverture, the leader of the Haitian Revolution, that freed God knows how many thousands and thousands of Africans and non-Africans. I mean, he just was on the liberation roll. He was just freeing people, and not just him, but other Haitian leaders, freeing all of South America from the grips of Spain, Venezuela, Brazil, just Ecuador, just to name a few. I mean, dozens of countries, man, even here in America. So, but it's one thing that I was confused about because how did he get so smart? You know what I'm saying? He was able to read. General Toussaint was a reader. He was taught by his slave masters. But his actual full name was Francis Dominique Louverture, and he was able to not only learn about other rebellions, Spartacus, for example, but he also learned about several other methods of politics, war, et cetera, et cetera. I'm gonna put this down for 2 seconds, but I'm gonna keep talking while I get my lighting together. So General Toussaint was not your average man. This guy was revolutionary to the core. He wanted to free his people. And surprisingly, he wasn't even trying to join the war, man. Toussaint was like, man, I'm making my money, I'm straight, I'm cool. And but by 1791, when it was obvious that this was going to be a full blown out war, and I'm talking about the Haitian Revolution, y'all. When he realized it's going to be a full blown out battle, it was not going to stop. I want you guys to pretty get a good understanding of what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So when General Toussaint was able to read about a slave rebellion, um, you know, different slave rebellions, he realized like, hey, why not me? I can free my people too. You know what I'm saying? I can free my people. I can be a great liberator, because he understood, and it's my assumption that he understood if he did not take lead of this great battle, if he did not take lead of this great battle, then the Haitian Revolution would not have been won. He would have known that the battle wouldn't have been won. They would have lost, and it would have been because there wasn't great leadership. There wasn't any organization, and there were many other battles going on around the Caribbean. You got the Carico Islands, owned by the Dutch, the Tudor Rebellion, which was there. They heard about General Toussaint and wanted to take part. You have not just that one. You have the rebellion in Jamaica. You have rebellions in Bahamas. It was all over Trim Island. People were fighting, man. People did not want to be enslaved ever. You know what I'm saying? And for good reason. Who wants to be a slave? Who wants to like have don't have no type of freedom or no type of justice and just working your fingers to the bone and no kind of benefits, you know what I'm saying, other than a morsel of food and clothes. So Toussaint definitely was one of those revolutionaries that I wanted to learn about, and that's what the book Black Jacobins did for me. It gave me the opportunity not only to learn about General Toussaint, but to also learn more about the intricate plots behind the Haitian Revolution. One of the greatest revolutions of world history, one of the greatest battles, successful battles, and or the one and only time that enslaved Africans were able to fight and gain their freedom and create their own country. The only time in history it ever happened. How could this not be highlighted in Black history? I've always said, in any type of education, any type of program that does not highlight the Haitian Revolution and it's talking about history and freedom and fighters, if it does not highlight the Haitian Revolution, that program is flawed. There is no great example of people fighting for their freedom, fighting, self-will and determination. There's no great example. It is by far the greatest example in our time. So many other rebellions were motivated by General Toussaint in the Haitian Revolution that ended in 1804. People are still studying the war tactics to this day. So these things, I'm sharing with you guys. I really want you to, if you have not heard about the Haitian Revolution, if you have not studied the Haitian Revolution, I I, I seriously, want you to take the time, invest, and learn about this revolution because it's a revolution that changed the world. It changed the way things operated. It changed the way people seen Black people. Because for a long time, we was only seen as cattle slavery, or what they say, chattel slavery. For a very long time, that's all we would thought to be, and that we actually like being enslaved. Can you imagine that? People thinking you like being enslaved? I know my answers in that like being enslaved. So with the Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James, I don't know if he ever knew how important of a work he did while he was alive. I really think people didn't really recognize him or the importance of his work until he passed away. And unfortunately, he's now no longer with us. However, his work is still being read today in schools and colleges, all kinds of places, and I know me for sure, for certain. I'm definitely still an avid student of C.R. James' work. As a matter of fact, a stage play was even written. A stage play was even written regarding the Haitian Revolution. Um, Paul Robeson, you guys know the great Black actor Paul Robeson, even starred in a play in respect to the Haitian Revolution and him playing the emperor, and so which he also goes in detail in the book. So definitely get your hands on a copy of Black Jacobins. You won't be sad for it. All right. So, and keeping along with momentum, let me read a passage from this book, huh? Now, so much information, man. So much information. Like, if you can see the what I did in this book and how I highlighted certain things, and I have just so much information. I don't know where British spies, Paris masses complete, Marie Antoinette sending the war plans to the enemy. The army was half loyalist. What else I got? Oh man, what's the best? What's the best part? Make you guys want to be like, what? Well, let me just pick one out. Let me just pick one out. So many things highlighted. So many pages highlighted and marked. So let's see here. Through tough, through greatest strength. Let you find. Okay, this is one thing that I've said a few times. This is about Toussaint. If the Republic, liberty, and equality gave the army its morale, its center was Toussaint himself. This is page 147, The Rise of Toussaint and the Black Jacobins. If you guys just tuning in, definitely don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I'd love to hear your opinions. He had his first command October 1792. In less than 2 years, we find him writing more than once that a long experience has taught him necessity of being himself on the spot. Otherwise, things never go well. Being himself on the spot. That's a real man right there. His presence had the electrifying effect characteristic of great men of action. His presence had the electrifying effect characteristic of great men of action. I put before them the position of the enemy and the absolute necessity of driving him off. The brave Republicans, Moise, Pepperit, Dessalines, Noel, answered in the name of all the chiefs they would brave any sort of danger, that they would go anywhere, and that they would follow me to the end, because they knew they had one common enemy, which is the French. Well, actually, they had separate enemies: French, Britain, and Spain. But Toussaint said these men, and read their names again: the brave Republicans, Moise, J.B. Parapet, Dessalines, and Noel, answered in the name of all the chiefs that they would brave any sort of danger, that they would go anywhere, and that they would follow me to the end. The ranks, although exhausted, responded in the same way and marched against musket and cannon shot without drawing a single weapon, guns in bandoliers. Nothing, said Toussaint, could resist the valor of the Sensulites. On one occasion, when ammunition had given out, they fought with stones. You feel me? Ground the bullets, fight with stones. I like that. He lived with the men and charged at their head. If cannon was to be moved, he himself helped, once getting a hand badly crushed in the process. Wow. So Toussaint definitely got some battle wounds. He put in work, y'all. All knew him from a few months before, when he was merely old Toussaint. He shared all their toils and dangers, but he himself, self-contained, impenetrable, and stern, with the habit and manner of the born aristocrat. I have received your letter as well as the minutes of your meeting, he writes to one of his officers. I have noted the pleasure, the manner in which you have repulsed the enemy, and I have only praise for the way in which you exterminated him with courage worthy of good republicans. I mean, I could just go on and on and on, man. Like this book here, I'm telling you, this book here, Black Jacobins. I said the same thing I said about Dr. Franz Cross's book, the Axis Papers. That if I had to go on a run or I had to leave town quickly, the top three books I would take, it would definitely be these two books right here, Axis Papers and the Black Jacobins. Shout out to Eli James, wonderful, wonderful book. All right, let's carry on. Black on black violence. Black on black violence, black self annihilation in service of white domination by none other than Dr. Amos Wilson, y'all. This book is groundbreaking. This and that actually is also autographed by the great Dr. Amos Wilson. And one of these days, I'm going to do a video again on just himself and his work and what he's done for the black community. He was a black psychologist, black professor out there in New York, University of New York, or New York University. And this book here literally transformed my life. This book transformed my life. It's not one of my most favorite books, only because it takes you to a depressing state of where black people are, today. Now, this book was written in the 1980s, and to be exact, this book was published in 1990. So the context was the 1980s. In 2024, if you were to watch any of these videos on YouTube or on any of the other platforms, you would think, and if you were not to look at his fashion, his glasses, 'cause he wears some pretty thick glasses and these thick suits. You know how people used to wear suits back in the day, and it's afro. This video's from the 70s, 80s. But if you were not to pay attention and just listen to the words that he spoke, Words coming out of his mouth, like Chris Tucker used to say. You understand the words coming out of my mouth? You would think this book and his content was in 2024 because nothing has changed in the black community. We still own less than 1%. We still lack the support of the black community. We still hate each other like crazy. Every culture has violence towards each other, but our numbers are like sky high towards each other, like straight up. And when I made that comment, this book changed my life. It made me start the program called Black on Black Crime Solutions Panel, and we did it for like 6 years straight. And just the lack of support and encouragement from the community, I just stopped doing it under my nonprofit, Courage to Believe International. You can look it up. Look it up. Courage to Believe International. Courage to Believe International, nonprofit 501c3 organization. And so I had to take my energy another direction. So we just really, and also the solutions panel kicked off our C2B youth mentoring program at Chess Club, which was we received phenomenal amount of support from people all over the world. Donated to our GoFundMe, our Kickstarter, and just the local community, city halls down in South Florida, Pompano Beach, Florida, Broward County, Fort Lauderdale. I mean, this book here, wow. I mean, but just I don't like being depressed, but this book really makes you look at the criminal element, saying that guys, black guys who do, gang bangers killing each other, those are the worst enemies of black people. They're white supremacists wearing black masks. And this is that thought and idea came from reading this book. This is another book I have highlighted extensively, wrote a lot of notes in it. My little marker just fell down. But this was a great book, and please love to hear you guys' opinions. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Tell me what you think. If I'm missing a book that you think was pivotal to the black empowerment. Now here you go. The black on black criminal must be made to realize that one of his principal problems is one of identity. He must understand how the criminal complex with which he currently identifies was constructed by Europeans for their own benefit and his ultimate demise. His criminal identity must be exorcised, meaning exorcism, and a new authentic one constructed through a new infusion of Afrocentric information, supportive social interactions, and development of new competencies, knowledges, and associations. He must come to understand that what he perceives as his needs, desires, ideas, motives, goals are manufactured and implanted in him by Europeans for the benefits of the Europeans at the price of the destruction of his humanity, body, community, and future. Lord have mercy. Woo, that was deep. That was deep. I gotta scratch my head on that one. He must come to understand that what he perceives as his needs, desires, ideas, motives, goals, etc., are manufactured and implanted in him by Europeans for the benefit of Europeans at the price of destruction of his humanity, community, body, and future. He must understand that his vain attempts to satisfy those introjected desires, etc., do not represent what it means to be free, to be a man, to have arrived at the pinnacle of human possibilities or success, but instead it represents the grossest form of slavery, animality, and thinginess. He must understand that Europeans and their so-called civilizations and human behaviors, attitudes they engender represent the most destructive factors whew, existing in the universe today, and to identify with them is to identify with the self-destructive spirit within himself. A spirit with makes him his own existence pointless and meaningless. He must understand that he can only achieve authentic honor, fulfillment, love, respect, security, belongingness, distinction through self and group empowerment. What the name of the title of this thing? The top 10 books for self empowerment. You feel me? Um, history and all that good stuff. This is my personal list. All right. He can gain transcendence only through full acceptance of his African identity. African identity, y'all, and the reclamation of his birthrights through economic and cultural self-determination, through love and self for others, through his recognition that his and his people's mission in conjunction with the world's other people is to bring into being a new world order. This new order must be a colored version of the old present Eurocentric order, which has inspired his criminalization and dehumanization of mankind, but one inspired by his own remembrance and full psychic integration. Ladies and gentlemen, I just gotta clap. I just gotta clap. And his brother just broke down. Not only did he break down something so vitally important on the identity of being a man, a real man, not what you see projected in the streets or on TV or usually on social media, men degrading women, beating women, not taking care of their kids, killing their kids, killing other black men so they can have fancy watches and rings and gold necklaces and big cars. Those thinginess are the very things that are destructing the black community, that has destroyed the black community. Um, but I see a lot of good positive things in our community. You know, there's a lot of black business owners, there's a lot of mentoring programs for young girls and boys. As a matter of fact, I'm part of a mentoring program, Black Boys Anonymous. Shout out anybody who's watching this Black Boys Anonymous program in Atlanta, where we help young black boys, you know, development skills, learn how to be man respectable, learn how to shake your hand, learn how to look up when you talk to somebody, speak up with your voice up, look them in the eye, don't be looking down, get your hands out your pocket, tuck your shirt in, you know what I'm saying? Iron your shirt, you know, be respectable, open the doors for the ladies, pull the chairs out, you know, how to start a business, how to get into real estate, how to get into construction, how to fix houses, fix cars, change tires. We went camping and fishing. So it's quite a bit we do, Black Boys Anonymous. So that's definitely a program worth supporting, donating to, whatever the case may be. And speaking of mindset, after reintroducing my book, The Wind in the Mirror, Activating Superpowers of Mind, Body, and Spirit, written by no other than King Kevin Dover himself. That's me, if you guys don't know. It's a book that I wrote, you know, same thing Dr. Amos Wilson was thinking, like, hey, this is not the way to think. We got to think a different way. So the trials, tribulations, and adversity that I was able to accomplish and share with others and help them overcome their adversity, because problems are always going to be here, period. If you teach your child to prepare for the hurdles and show them how to go overcome those hurdles, when they come across hurdles, guess what? It's nothing to them. It's not a big deal. But when we try to pussyfoot or beat around the bushes with things and think our kids gonna be sheltered and protected, well, it's a dangerous world out there. You got to get their mind right. Get your mind right. Get your physical right. You know what I'm saying? And get your economics right. And so this book here is something that I truly was the most fun I've had written of all the books I've written. And I want to go ahead and just break down something I wrote called "Gold Getters are experts in gold fishing." So it's just a itemized list that I wrote, and you can get this book and any of my books at my website, or any information about me, projects, etc. KevinDorival.com. That's KevinDorival.com. Description in the well, maybe I didn't put the link down there, but hopefully I put the link in the description. But creating a double-sided goal list, short term, next couple of days or weeks, long term, next month and 5 years, etc. Number two, write a couple of goals down on each side. Number three, expand your net and think bigger. For example, instead of eating at your favorite restaurant, set a goal to purchase your favorite restaurant. Oh, now isn't that a different thought and mindset, right? Instead of going to eat, go ahead and buy. That's a different. That's like a quantum leap, you know what I'm saying, in your way of thinking and just your future and finances. Stop thinking so small. And that's a problem that I found out a lot of us have. We think small because we are around a lot of small thinking people. You know what I'm saying? The chickens don't hang out with pigeons. Pigeons don't hang out with eagles. Eagles hang out with eagles. Pigeons hang out with pigeons. Chickens hang out with chickens. You dig? So it's levels to it. So if you want to stay where you at, keep the same surrounding. You know, if you're comfortable with living hand to mouth, if you're comfortable with struggling to pay your bills, comfortable with living in other people's homes and renting a room or sleeping on the couches on the floors. If you're comfortable with that, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not, you need to change the way of thinking. And that's how this book has really helped me in understanding the way that I think, the way I act, the way I live, step by step, determines how my life is today and how it's going to be tomorrow. All right, number four, decorate your home with food shade. principles, feng shui principles, colors and art. Chapter 9. Meditate on your goals day and night. The more times, the merrier. Number 6. Dream about your goals by replaying it 5, 10 times on your I believe in me channel before you go to sleep. Talk about creating your own channel. You know what I'm saying? I believe in me channel. Or you could that's what I call mine. I believe in me channel or believe channel. You can have whatever you want to. You might want to start, cookbook or cooking, TV show. You might want to on your own television network. You might want to buy your own library, bookstore. You might want to buy a corporate building or just all the commercial buildings in your neighborhood. And revitalize neighborhood. There's so many ways, so many thinking. Um, Number 7, practice SBE. Speak it, believe it, execute the plan. That's one of my favorites. Speak it, believe it, execute the plan. Speak your dreams into existence. Keep speaking it, speaking it, speaking it. Um, Speak it, believe into you. You might not believe you can actually accomplish buying this or doing that. You may not could fathom being the abilities of doing that because you don't have the money. But if you were to dare believe it in your mind, and Marcus Garvey said it, if you if you don't believe that you can accomplish something before you started, you've already failed before you even begun. But if you believe that you can accomplish it, that you'll be victorious before you even started, you've already won before you've begun. So everything takes place in the spiritual realm. And there's a lot of motivational speakers, a lot of positive talkers, and et cetera, et cetera. But none of them really tell you how to walk it out. They kind of give you this vague idea, but none of them really walk it out because, you know, their stories, their battle stories, it may not be in the same trenches, it may not be the same situation that you've been in. However, when you get the book like The Wind in the Mirror, and I'm really selling this book, because I know it's going to change lives. How do you go from living on somebody's couch to buying your own home or walking every day, taking buses every day? How you go from that to actually buying a car or buying a lot? It's the mindset, your environment, and your planning and your consistency. Can you be consistent? Are you willing? And here's another thought. Most people never really fought for their lives before. Never really fought. When I say fought for your lives, I mean I'm talking about fought, whether it was with physically having to fight somebody, maybe with a gun. Someone pulled a gun on you, you had to fight them or shoot them back, or you might have had to kill them because they're gonna kill you. Whereas a knife or a car accident, you had to pull out of the car with every bit of strength you had, and you might even had no strength. Most people never really fought for their lives before. People back in Haitian Revolution, Civil War, the Maroon Wars in Jamaica, the Tulu War, battles up there in the Carrico Islands, just north of Venezuela. People had to really fight for their lives, man. People really shit. Post Civil War, man, you had to go find a way to eat. But there was no job for black people in America. Post Civil War, the antebellum era, there was no way of a black man or woman to feed themselves other than finding work. And if you were black, which we were, it was hard for us to find work. They even had vacancy laws. So if you were just walking, couldn't find, you didn't have just walking around, and you might have had a job just because they found you walking. You didn't have proof that you had a job. Some I don't know how you prove it. They'll arrest you. So they had to really fight and build a community. They had to really, really think of how they were going to make this happen. And that's what the Win in the Mirror does. How are you going to make this happen in the midst of this? Hey, Dark Skin TV, thanks for tuning in. Blessings to you as well, sister. Dark Skin TV, Miss Rashida, she has, plays on dark skinism. I've been on a couple of shows with her, so it's been pretty dope knowing her. And I actually got to see her show. Hopefully this time she doesn't do it 2 hours away of Atlanta, but somewhere closer in Atlanta. But shout out to you and your much success to the Darkism campaign. Glad to support. Now, another book I want to talk about, enough of the Wind in the Mirror, 'cause I can go on and on about that book. Taking Haiti from 1915 to 1940. Now, this book by Mary Renda, she's a professor, right? College professor. And she wrote this book, Military Occupation, The Culture of U.S. Imperialism. Now, this book is another book that I just recently finished reading this book towards the end of last year, and I spoke about the play that the Black Jacobins play. This is another play written about General Toussaint Haitian Revolution, and this was by This is the actor in this book here. This is Charles Giplin, and he starred in the play, and later on it became uh, Paul Robeson, who was a civil rights, how do you say that? Civil rights. You know when you say big juggernaut, civil rights juggernaut. That's what I'm looking for. Civil rights juggernaut. I mean, there's so much information about this play. Just this book and what happened in Haiti, 1915 to 1934. But this book calls this from 1940. My question was, why? Now the occupation was from, and I bought this book. I have about three books on the subject, particular subject on the U.S. occupation of Haiti, because most people don't realize or care to realize how important or how significant the occupation was towards Haiti's current situation and how it literally destroyed Haiti's ability to develop. So I had to really infuse myself with information and not just watch videos on YouTube or read articles online, which I still do. So many great articles, but I had to get a few books. But this is one of the best. This is actually the best ones that I found. But I want to read you out a quick passage, and some people may ask me, why is it that this occupation is so different from U.S. occupation of Dominican Republic, U.S. occupation of Mexico, which was done 1914 December, actually right before they invaded Haiti, in December of 1914. They invaded Mexico. The U.S. Marines invaded Mexico, but anyway, nevertheless, this book helped me understand a few things that I was confused about. Who were the major players in the occupation? You know, Woodrow Wilson was the president. I want to say Woodrow Wilson was probably president. I can't really say top of my head what number president he was, but he was the president before FDR. FDR was the admiral of the Navy Marines of the Navy at the time. But FDR was the one who actually was the representative of the bankers who wanted Woodrow Wilson to invade Haiti and these other countries because they're getting ready for World War One. You know what I'm saying? That which started, if I'm not mistaken, World War One started in 19. Help me out, guys. When did World War One start? Was it 1914 or 1916? I want to say it started in 1916. But regardless, nevertheless, once World War One ended, they had already planned to do World War Two 20 years later. That's a whole nother story. But because these wars and battles aren't really to bring peace and democracy, stability to a country. It's really to overtake a country. Really made to take over countries' finances, take over countries' military, and any important institution. This is what Europeans do, not just America, France and Britain as well. But let me read this passage in this book on page 94. It says, diplomats, well, let me go to 93 a little bit because so much highlighted. Okay, let's start 94, top 94. Diplomats in Haiti were no exception. December 1914, I just said that, right? Would find Wilson and Bryan chiding the U.S. Minister to Haiti, Arthur Bailey Blanchard, for failing to grasp the critical difference between U.S. control of Haitian customs, which Wilson and Bryan sought as a means to establish stable conditions for economic development and American investment generally, and the granting of particular concessions, in the case mining concessions to American prospectors. Your proposition seems based upon misunderstanding of the government's position. And Bryan wrote to Blanchard with Wilson's entire approval. While we desire to encourage every proper way American investments in Haiti, we believe that this can be better done by contributing to stability and order than favoring special concessions to Americans. So, American capital will gladly avail itself to the business opportunities in Haiti, when assured of peace and quiet necessarily for profitable production. Thus, Wilson sought to promote American investment in Haiti and saw this as wholly consistent with moral public considerations. The burden of change rested in the difference between special concessions and healthy investment that could promote healthy economic development. They never established healthy economic development in Haiti. That was never what the goal was. It was strictly to export the country for the mining. It said mining. They knew Haiti had gold since 1492. Christopher Columbus came and wrote, he wrote about his exportations with his pirates. They call him Christopher Columbus a explorer. This guy was a exploiter. They robbed, pillaged, killed people, murdered, mutilated the Taino Native Americans or indigenous people of Haiti, Saint Dominique back in the day, and not just there, but other places. Man, these people were like dangerous. I can't believe that they still teach Christopher Columbus to be the great explorer. This dude straight robbed. I mean, it's like putting Jeffrey Dahmer's, serial killer. He was just into, mutilating people and boys and stuff like that, which is sick enough. Christopher Columbus wasn't just into mutilations, he was also into exploitation and robbery and thievery, bringing back to the Queen of Spain, Queen Elizabeth the First. That's what these people do. So the U.S. knew about the gold that was there. They knew about the lustful land. Haiti has some of the best arable land, I mean, the land that you can grow crops on. And so they wanted for themselves, to grow, bring back slavery, which they did with the Colbert system, which was created by King Henry Christophe, which was the first only king of Haiti. So, though you might have even heard about there's a king of Haiti. Yeah, King Henry Christophe. Look him up. You know what I'm saying? He built the one of the only first and only to this day um, fortress on top of a mountain, about 1,000 feet in the air. You literally in the clouds. You like your face is literally in the clouds when you're up there. I was there. The air is so cold up there. It could be hot, burning hot. On the streets of Haiti. You know what I'm saying? But when you go up them trees and up the top of the mountain, it's cold up there. Like, you know what I'm saying? But something very different. So, but anyway, I finished reading this book, and it's gonna be in my book, Americans and France's Thousand Year War Against Haiti, Assassination of a Nation. I definitely, I'm glad she mentioned and she had to talk about Smelly Butler. Smelly Butler was the most awarded, highly recognized, what I'm saying, military soldier there is in history. I mean, this guy probably got two medals of honors, maybe three medals of honor. But what really gets me the most is that they gave these Marines medals of honors for the atrocities and for the murders. Anywhere from 15 to 20,000 murders or more during the occupation of the 19 years from 1915 1934 after President Sam of Haiti was assassinated, but he was assassinated because he killed and murdered 167 elite members of, what I'm saying, members of society in Haiti. We locked them in prison, and Haiti has gained this reputation and tradition of killing the opposition. Like, forget a powerful debate and let the chips fall where they may, where the public votes on who they want. And when Haiti did do that, in 1991 and 2004 elections, guess what they did? The U.S. kicked Aristide out, the first democratically elected president. Democratically elected mean the people, the population, the masses voted for him, but he wasn't on the good old boys plan. He wasn't a puppet like President Sam was in Haiti. He wasn't a puppet like Jovenel Moise, rest in peace. Who was assassinated July, I want to say July 7th, 2021, but definitely July 2021. He wasn't a puppet like Marshall Mitterly, Sweet Mickey, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't a puppet like the current prime minister, you know what I'm saying? Who's not even the real minister. He was never he was never signed in, but he was appointed but never signed in, and now he's way past his mark of 30 months of being the prime minister of Haiti. So they're supposed to do elections February 7th. They just passed. Actually, that's my birthday, y'all, February 7th. I'm still celebrating my birthday, by the way. So happy birthday to me and my daughter, Abby. So with these things, with all these puppets, AFC wasn't going for that. So that's what this taking Haiti was about. Not only did they rob Haiti, 1914 went to the bank, robbed Haiti $500,000 worth of gold, which is equivalent to about I want to say 12 million today. 500,000 gold bars back then. 500,000 gold bars and gold bars. Oh, come on, man. Marines took it to New York City Group, which is New York City Bank, which is City Group today, for quote unquote safekeeping. But they took that money, they were supposed to, like I just read that passage, and I wish I would have just kept. I really wish I would have kept my finger in that passage because I really need that part because they were supposed to work on creating stability and also creating a development in Haiti. Schools, roads. The only reason why they built roads in Haiti was so they could catch the people who rebelled. There's some misinformation out there that the Haiti just rolled over, bent over, and let U.S. did what they wanted to do to the country. No, Haiti fought. The parliament fought. The government fought against it. They even wrote a bill that was anti-American bill in 1915 that was opposing what the U.S. wanted, which was control of economics, control of the infrastructure, and control of the military. But Haiti fought against that. But because they fought against it, one, the U.S. got rid of the president at that time. Actually, they didn't get rid of him directly. What they did was they got rid of his power. They suspended the parliament, which didn't get back to running again to 1929. But what they did was, when the Congress was meeting in Haiti, they shut the door, put them all under. They put them all in the room and put guns to their head and were like, if you don't sign this bill, we not only want to control the economics and military, but we also want you to change the constitution so that foreigners can own land in Haiti. Because one of the basis of Haitian constitution the basis of the Haitian Constitution was that no foreigners can own land. No white folks can own land in Haiti. If you wasn't Haitian, born and raised in Haiti, you could not own land. And so people wanted land in Haiti for a long time. Like I mentioned, it's one of the most fertile. Actually, the whole Caribbean got great land. Just to be honest with you, the whole Caribbean got awesome land, lush land, beautiful trees, etc. Etc. Great air. Some of the finest women you ever meet in the world. Some of the most strong, handsome men you ever meet in the world. It's in the Caribbean. You feel me? But Haiti was the only one that first of all, Haiti was the first and only constitution written by a black country, black republic in the world. First and only independent country that was created through the rebellion of the formerly enslaved. The first and only country to write in their constitution, not just write it, but wrote it and meant it to the T that people are made free. You know what I'm saying? Every man is made free, naturally born free. You will not be enslaved. Haiti was the first only country to actually write it and mean it. The U.S. Constitution wrote it, didn't mean it, because obviously you got thousands, hundreds of thousands of slaves working in plantations as they got this Constitution. So that was just a huge contradiction there. Declarations of Men in France, which actually kicked off the Haitian Revolution. So, because when France wrote the Declaration of Men, which was gave everybody freedom, rights, happiness, we all equal, blah 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 blah, man, these folks got down there 600, 700,000 people enslaved in the Caribbean islands alone. And I think if I remember correctly, 3 million people were dispersed all over the Caribbean by France by itself, solely from France. Haiti had 800,000 at one point, man. I mean, the numbers were so crazy. They were telling them, "Hey, if you guys don't slow down the flow of Africans being imported into Haiti, Saint Domingue, and they were coming from the Congo region, region, the homie, throughout the West Africa. Just you messing with a keg of gunpowder, and they actually were correct. Come in, Nana. You gonna be in my show with me? Come on. Here's my daughter. She woke up. Dinosaurs. Yeah, we're talking about some dinosaur history. Yeah. This is my baby girl. Say hi. Say hi. Yeah. So with that being said, there's so much history, so much information of things that happen. Hey Riza, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Now, there's so many other books I didn't even get into. African Consciousness versus New World Order. This is another book by Dr. Amos Wilson. Well marked, lots of information on here. Great book to read. Actually, I have how many books I had, Dr. Amos Wilson? No, you remember how many books I have? Hmm? She wants to dinosaur. The books I have without Amos Wilson, as I already showed you guys, black on black violence, black self-annihilation in service of white domination. This one here, African centered consciousness versus the New World Order, Garvinism in the age of globalism. And globalism has not worked out well for black countries. Let me tell you that. Um, I want to also Black Gun, Silver Star. This book is on Bass Reeves. You guys don't know who Bass Reeves is? You know who Bass Reeves is, Nana? Do you remember? I don't think she remembers. But Bass Reeves, guys, this guy here was incredible. One of the first black marshals in the country when the West expansion. And by the way, when when the Louisiana Purchase was made, right after France lost the war, Napoleon sold Louisiana to Thomas Jefferson, U.S. government, $15 million. When they sold that land, now people were willing to go out after the Lewis and Clark expedition to go out west and move west. That's why you have those movies, Wild Wild West. And that's why I like history, because when you can put the events, it may not be able to put the dates together is 100%, but once you're able to put the dates and the locations and events together, then you could paint a picture in your head of what really happened. So at the time, of course, the Buffalo Soldiers of that time, the black soldiers, they were they were in charge of getting the Native Americans, indigenous red men, out of their land. So they were hired gunmen to keep the natives off their land, and so that the America could fully expand. Now the Louisiana Purchase, which is the biggest, largest as far as territory, real estate deal in US history, possibly the world history. So those 14 states that France had, and mind you, they was also fighting Britain for Louisiana as well. So you have Louisiana, parts of Texas, you have Wyoming, if I'm not mistaken. You have Colorado. You have what other states am I missing here along that along the? You can look it up. There's 14 states, Colorado, Wyoming, parts of Canada as well. Even Chicago was founded by a Haitian man. That's another thing they don't tell you guys, don't show you guys. Have you ever read the book from Baron de Veste, The Boys? No, I haven't read that book, Reza. But thanks for mentioning that. But so but Bass Reeves, guys, Bass Reeves, you guys don't know who Bass Reeves is, and truth be told, I'm very surprised and also disrespected that I spent all them years in public education, even graduate colleges in 2005, in the minor in marketing and well, major in marketing and minor in history, that I did not learn about Bass Reeves until I was in my 30s. This guy single-handedly one time arrested about 16 people. I mean, he never missed a shot, they said. Never missed a shot, rifle or revolver. If he coming at you, boy, he's shooting. He coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, white folks was afraid of him. And it's funny because at the time, and you talking about, 1870s, you know what I'm saying, 1870, 75, that this guy at the time when the Klansmen were hanging people left and right, they had no kind of respect. Matter of fact, he couldn't even speak in a lot of courtrooms because he was black. But they loved him, they respected him because they knew that if you had a warrant for your arrest, and there was a lot of robberies, a lot of bank robberies, a lot of stagecoach robberies, train robberies. If you guys watch some old Western movies like The Harder They Fall with them black cowboys and cowgirls in it, Regina King, Edris Oba, am I saying his name right? Eldris, it's Edris something. You guys know what I'm talking about. Even the brother who just got messed up with the white girl, man. I was just saying his name the other day, but he was in it too. So it's not Nate Parker. His name is Jonathan Majors. They all played in that movie. Let it be just in case you guys didn't know, black cowboys were the original cowboys because they will call them boys. Go get that cowboy. You see? So eventually started calling them cowboys because only black men would do all the work that they would, that white folks wouldn't do with all the cattle and things like that. All right, baby. So but even Bass Reeves, who they say he arrested, I think 3,000 people, and man, he held it down, man. So if any black men want to get their ego up and want to measure up to a real man, look up Bass Reeves. And this book is called The Black Gun and Silver Star. And just to read a quick passage in here, if just something about Bass Reeves. There's so many things in here. I haven't even read this book yet. This is a brand new book, but I just want to read some to you guys. He even went to trial, by the way. I do know he went to trial because he killed his cook. Now, rumor has it he killed the cook because the cook poured hot grease on the dog. That's one story. Or the cook, the dog was for the cook, and Bass Reeves was yelling at the dog because the dog was licking from the cooking pot. You know how you out there cooking out there in the wilderness, and the dog came and licked the pots, and he was pissed off about that and got in an argument with the cook, and he killed the cook. So there's different stories on what really happened. But him being U.S. Marshal, he killed the cook, but he was found not guilty through a jury trial because of his reputation as a man of justice, a man of honor and integrity. Something that was very rare in the West. Like the Wild West was really wild, man. If you ever look up the amount of violence, that's why they used to hang people left and right back in the West, because they didn't have enough police officers, which is why he became a marshal. When they knew the reputation of how good he shot, and he fought in the Civil War. So this was not only just a good marksman, but a great soldier as well. Bass Reeves on his last trip and has experience had came near cutting short his usefulness and did send one man where he won't fool with other people's horses. He had warrants for two men, Frank Buck and John Bruner. While up in the Canadian looking for prisoners, he came upon these men but did not know them. He inquired on other parties and he was after, and Buck and Bruno volunteered to guide him. At noon, all parties camped, and when they were getting dinner, he noticed Bruno secretly pulling his pistol. Suspecting something, he stepped behind his horse and around the front of Bruno and grabbed his pistol before he had time to use it. At the same time, pulled his gun. Glancing over his shoulder, Buck was seen getting out his weapon when he when as quick as a flash when as quick as a flash, Reeves, still holding Bruno's pistol in one hand, threw over his other and shot Buck dead. Bruner was then secured and is now on his way to Fort Smith, which is they call it hell on the border. It was just crazy. That's where everybody waited for execution at Fort Smith, where he still have to answer for a double charge. So I mean, there's tons of stories in this book. That's why I got it, and I didn't even know it that I had the DVD or audio book of this book. You know what I'm saying? I must have had it for a long time, but this book has great pictures of the West. Ben Reeves, his son, was also he had to arrest his son because his son killed his wife because his wife was cheating on him. So the son killed the wife, and that was crazy. So anyway, moving along here, a few more books Just want to lighten you guys. And another thing is, if you guys ever thought about the sacrifices your ancestors made to be able to read, even let alone pick up a book. So reading to me is more of something for my ancestors saying, man, hey, thank you. You know, thank you for your sacrifices. I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna have the baton in my hand. I'm carrying on, be reading. You just see my daughter, that's my oldest one. We still, me and her mom, we definitely infuse reading, writing, arithmetic, and just teaching them things so that they could be great people in society. Because if you want to hide something from black people, you put it in the book. Unfortunately, that was the catalyst that got me reading the way I do today. So this book here, The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, um, one of the start of my conscious movement and just learning more and once learned so much more was this book here. And so it's subtitled Great Issues of a Race from 4500 BC to 2000 AD. And there's so many marks in this book, so many good lessons and pages. It even goes into the Haitian Revolution in this book. One of the things I like learning extensively a lot. I used to study a lot. I don't anymore because it's ancient history, and I'm dealing with current situations. That's one of the things when you're dealing with history, you don't want to keep reading and regurgitating the past. You want to take the past and apply it in the present so that we can have a better future. But I love learning about Kemet. I love learning about the pharaohs, the kings and queens, the building of the pyramids, the science, the high culture science they created, invented, just the wars, the battle. It's just so much great information. And I want to read a quick passage from this book. I mean, it's not. They say it's not a history book. It's more of a book of reference to understand how do we go from here. The times when we were building things like this. How do we go from this time period to being indentured servants and enslaved, shackled, beat, lynched, and not controlling our own futures? How do we get from black excellence, the Haitian Revolution, to the dilapidated state that we are in right now? The low level of consciousness, low level of energy, the constant disrespect, the amount of single mothers that we have, and the father is not there. They're lacking. Just the lack of ambition, like where that come from. If we were building things like this book answers that. Like for real. This book answers that. So and it tells you how we're infiltrated, how the white missionaries would come and say, "Hey, we coming here to teach you about God in the Bible, and let's pray." And when they prayed, you close your eyes. Before you close your eyes, we had the land, they had the Bible. When we closed our eyes, they had the land, we had the Bible. So that just shows you that backward consciousness and thinking that was going on. But just for reference purposes, I want to read a little bit about just a quick passage from this book. The status of African American people throughout the world remains too precarious to deal with their history by merely chronicling important events. The situation demands that greater efforts be made to determine the meaning of those events, their effects on the people, the overall change in the direction of history, and what new directions race must take. The major and immediate Portuguese aim in Africa was not the conquest of blacks. Rather, their first aim was to destroy Arab power in Africa and the Islamic control of just about all over the land trade routes to the east. For this cause, Columbus had sailed, and other European nations took to the high seas. The Portuguese sought to use religion as a usual spearhead. The Christian states were in Africa from the earliest times had not been completely forgotten. One that had escaped Muslim destruction was located in what had been known as southern border state of ancient Ethiopian empire, identified by the Portuguese as the kingdom ruled by King Prester John. The idea was to unite the Christian forces of Europe with those of African in an all-out war against the Arabs. So Arabs still enslaving our people to this day. Kidnapping from different parts of Africa, mainly the north part, Morocco, and a slave to this day, right now, to this day, may not be the same chattel slavery, but people are locked in, shackled, and chained, purposely made stupid, purposely kept dumb, non-educated, so it could just strictly depend for their survival of the hands of the oppressor, the hand of the one who enslaved them. And another thing is, I want to mention, and it could have been from one of these books, but I never called our people slaves. I always say enslaved. Even in this video, I called our ancestors who were enslaved, and those who enslaved them as enslavers or the oppressors. Not that all white people are oppressors or the devils, but this book even has a chapter called "The White Devils from the West." And so I've read this book. Honestly, I don't even know how many times I read this book. I've read this book at least 5 times. I've had it since 2009, I would say 2008, 2009. I've had this book, and I just keep going back and forth to it. And I had to look for it in my bookcase. So I own literally about over 1,000 books. I would say about 1,200. But I'm doing a big book cleanup. I did it yesterday, as a matter of fact. I have one, two, three, four bookcases. Um, I need five, but I have four books, so I've been consolidating on my books, trying to get rid of a lot of books that I have that I possibly won't read because I'm preparing for a transition. God went to a new place, so I need to get rid of a lot of books I'll never read. But all my history books are staying with me. Books on history, science, and most of the business books. But I have books on relationships, on love making, on army strategies, books on great military heroes, books on selling, decor. Um, the list goes on and on and on. I have a lot of books. To be honest with you, and if you're listening in, I want you guys I want you to put in the comment, ask me, because I think I have a book for every subject, right? Book for every subject you can think of. Put in the comment a subject that you think I may not have a book on. Whether you're watching this video live right now, or you could be watching this book in 2025 in next April. Who knows? But leave a comment of what book you think I may not have, or subject, not necessarily type of book. If I don't have all the books in the world, there's in a house that's big enough to fit all the books in the world. But a subject that you think I do not have, I guarantee you, I have a book on every subject. All right. Black Labor, White Wealth by Claude Anderson. Claude Anderson, um, great scholar. He's in his later years, so he may not be with us for another maybe 5, 10 years, hopefully longer than that. Ancient African mathematicians. Hey, that's dope. All right, Riza, do I have a book on ancient African mathematicians? I do have a book actually on Kemetic math. So I guess that is, Kemetic. Actually, the name Kemet or Kemetic is the original name of Egypt. So when you hear people talking about Kemet or a book on, or not the book, but just the subject of Kemet, they're talking about the land of the blacks, or the land of the black faces, Ethiopia, land of the burnt faces, or Kush is the original name of Ethiopia, Nubia, which is the original name of that whole northeast region where you have Egypt, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, that northeast region. That was Nubia. We heard people talking about Nubia queen. So you a beautiful Nubian queen. That's what they're talking about. Nubian king. You know what I mean? So, no doubt. I appreciate that. That was a good question. And actually, that you had me thinking on that one. I actually have a couple of books on the mathematician and how they actually used to save money back then. How you should like not just save money, but how they collected money within the community. African traditions. That's what the book is about. African traditions on how we collected our money and invested in projects for the community, for the state. Those are principles that we like to associate with Jewish or Asian people, but African people are the ones who originated and started it. They took those ideas and used it for themselves to benefit their communities, and we haven't. But we can easily tap back into that. It's in our DNA. We created it. We created the first astrologists and agriculture science, traveling the seas, the high seas. We created that, the first boats. Um, man, the what with the iron, electricity, like we created so many great inventions that were stolen from our ancestors. Matter of fact, there's a book I called, and I only read a few pages out of it because it's so massive information. Black people created everything. That's the title of the book. Black people created everything from A to Z. Great, powerful book. Ancient African architects. I don't have a book specifically on ancient African architects, but I have books on the structures of buildings. What were their purposes? I don't have one that specifically told how they built this and that, but I do have like different, shapes of houses or um, government buildings and et cetera, pyramids. Actually, I guess you can say that. I do have at least one or two books on the Kemetan architecture. Even on, I have some on Spain and Asia as well, and even European, because a lot of their styles came from African cultures. You like literally, you know what I'm saying? Like traces of Africa is everywhere. That's why they want to suppress our education. Um, Off subject, President Jean Baptiste Boyer, the president of Haiti, the second president of Haiti, and he was president from 1818 to 1843. He wrote once that to sow education is to sow rebellion. So when I read that, I'm like, what do you mean to sow education, sow rebellion? That kind of sounds like you don't want people to be educated. That's exactly what it was. So you keep people dumb, they're not going to rebel. That's what he's saying. You don't give them education, they're not gonna rebel. But if you give them education, then they're gonna want more, more, more because they're reading about how other people are living. And so in Haiti, the situation was they wanted to keep the masses of people enslaved to live hand to mouth, while small elite would actually benefit from the fruits of their labor, which is still going on today. But that's a whole other subject. Actually, today's subject was going to be something called, Haitian Revolution. Was this the greatest revolution of all history, or for the world? That's actually tonight's subject. I felt like, you know what? Let me ease off on the Haitian stuff a little bit. Let me get to reaching out to people that are not Haitian. A lot of people may not care about what's going on in Haiti or don't care about Haitian history. But if you really love Black history, there's no way you can ignore and not talk about the Haitian Revolution. It would be impossible. The Haitian Revolution, the 13-year war, was one of the greatest battles. I mean, battles. Talking about, they fought Britain, Spain, France, the U.S. Well, U.S. was supporting France, caused France to sell Louisiana Purchase. Was a lot of y'all from them states I mentioned: Colorado, Wyoming, Louisiana, parts of Texas. You know what I'm saying? All up the that Midwest and part of the West. That's because of Haiti beating the dog dookie out of France, embarrassed Napoleon in France. That's why they embarrassing Haiti now by starving them to death. And that's why they have this economic slavery. I so bad want to get into that with y'all today, but I really did. Probably would have got a few hundred views, but I didn't want to get away from my base of information, my base of power, which is reading, the fundamental aspects of reading, comprehension, and just learning about my ancestors and what I can do today to impact tomorrow. All right, another question here. Do you have a book about Tantra Yoga? I'm Gigi. Pleased to meet you. Hey, Gigi. Thanks for. I do have a book on Tantra. If I'm not mistaken, the one that I have on Tantra isn't about yoga though. So I don't have that on yoga, but I do have Tantra, sex practices and sexual rituals, which I haven't used in years, but it's a book that I need to actually go back into, you know what I'm saying? But that book there was like just the different sexual rituals that were taking place back in ancient times, and things you did to make love, to entice your man or woman, different positions. Don't even get me on that subject right there. But to have a wife who was the writer, I would go into, where's that book? I might even have it right in front of me because there's a bookcase right in front of me here. That book will have to be on that bookcase to my left. So I don't want to leave where I am to search for it. But I guarantee you I will reply in the actual comments, or actually in the description The name of the book. I might even post a picture of it. But I actually have two books on that subject. But the one that I actually read to the because it wasn't that big of a book. It was probably the size of this book here. Great information. Trust me, it would change the way you think about love making and stretching. It wasn't necessarily always intercourse love making. That's another misnomer. A lot of people associate love making and sex with physical or penetration. That isn't always the case. Sometimes sex could be just sitting down and meditating. The Mayan Thuma sexual ritual that was created in Kemet, where a man and wife, you someone you were deeply in love with, would be naked and praying together, holding each other in the hands, praying, holding each other, and having and praying for your goals. And like I would pray for my wife goals, and she would pray for my goals because she being my wife and I'm being her husband. We know each other's dreams, we know each other's passion. So the whole ideal is to continue constantly praying for a certain amount of time while incense and candle is burning, and then you make love, and supposedly what penetrate love making, you know what I'm saying, hot sweat sex. And then you're supposed to be able to transfer or leave your body, transcend, leave your body, what there's a word for that, telepath, but your spirit leaves your body and astral project into different parts of the world. Some say, and I've done some reading on this, that some say that the ancient Egyptians, the Kemetans, what they were doing was when they was practicing this Maya Thuma or maybe some other rituals, and they astral projected, and they sort of able to see the future and things like that, but they didn't know how to come back to Earth, and that's possibly what happened to them. But anyway, that was just a theory out there. Who is the writer? I'll let you know. I definitely would. I want to learn the ancient way. Trust me, the ancient way is definitely something that has always intrigued me. But I caught myself, I would say about 5 years ago, diving too much into ancient history. This diving, not talking about deep diving, to way too much ancient history to the point where I started ignoring the current situation we're in now. And so I didn't want to be a hero worship. Dr. Amos Wilson, the author that I mentioned a couple of times this evening, he wrote about us being too much just consumed with ancient history. I'm the king, you the queen. You need to bow down to me, or you need to do this. Get on your knees. You need to listen to what I say and don't talk back, or et cetera, et cetera. And we get so caught up in the thought of us being this ruler that we forget that we live in the 21st century. The laws that applied then don't apply now. If a woman was cheating on her husband back then, she could literally get stoned to death. Literally, there's stories about it in the Bible. And Jesus said, "For those without sin, cast the first stone." Someone can cast the first stone because they all sinners. So the laws were different. So I had to remove myself from studying so much and reading so much about ancient history and get into more of the current. So now I have a complete great understanding of history through writing. But the black labor white wealth, I'm gonna get to this, back to this now. Stolen land, page 123, and this is a classic book. If you guys don't have this book, it's a very short read, about 220 pages. You can read it within a week. Great information on how the slave trade and how our brothers and sisters, our ancestors fought and worked their fingers to the bone. Now I'm a contractor. I trade in molding mediation here in Atlanta, Georgia. So I haven't built a whole house, but I've built the inside of a house. I've done it all, from the ceiling to the walls to the floors to the kitchen, bathroom renovations, all of it. So I have understanding when they say working fingers to the bone. Some of us, actually, this finger here, I had a serious injury to my thumb. You can't see it now. I had a serious injury to my thumb because of an injury that I had working, and it took off the nail from my thumb. The meat was it was extremely painful. to the bone. Our ancestors worked their fingers to the bone, and all that labor went to white wealth, just like it did in Jamaica, just like it did in the Congo, with the Belgian soldiers under King Leopold II. You know what they were doing. All the black labor went to the hands of the white folks. So this has always been a problem, always been an issue, and something that we definitely need to change. That because why don't I prosper? Why don't I benefit? Why don't my children benefit from my blood, sweat, and tears? That's why mothers and fathers worked so hard back in the day to get a house. So that when their children get older, they ain't gotta go through the same struggles. And now to even get a house now today, what is it, 7, 8% interest? And back in the day used to be 1.5, 1.2% interest, 3% interest rate. Now it's almost damn near impossible to get a house by yourself unless you're making a buku amount of money. But we can get back to learning what our ancestors went through, so we won't have to go through that again. This is one of the great books I would definitely recommend. He also has a book called "A Little White Lies." And I met him in Fort Lauderdale when he spoke at the African American Research Library, where I had my first book signing at, by the way. One of my biggest events as an author. The second biggest event as an author I had was in London when I was at a book tour in London. And my bestseller was right here. Where that book at? I just had it in my hand. Well, I have a few of them up here, which is right here. Seven Toxic Queen King Desire. So in this book, was my bestseller. I wrote this book. I appreciate it. Thank you, Gigi. This book here took me to London. I was in London. I want to say 12, 13 days. Me, Queen Suzanne, shout out Queen Suzanne, TC Carrier, the kings and queens of London book tour, and so a lot of people in London got this book. So shout out for my folks in London. That was in 2018 when I was a part of that book tour. I was so honored to be part of it. But that being said, I want my kids. You just saw my oldest. She's 2.5 years old. I want my children to benefit from my blood, sweat, and tears. I want your children to benefit from your sweat and tears in your community. And that's why he wrote this book. We need to start benefiting from our work and not everybody else. So, stolen land, um, land ownership was second only to the slave labor as a source of white wealth and power in America. Without the approval of the Indians, a London company, an official chartered immigration agency, sought to lure immigrants to America by substituting land grants of 100 acres to each colonial settler in lieu of potential gold dividends. Other English chartering companies and colonial assemblies followed suit by offering land grants to newly arriving immigrants. The practice of awarding land to the head of each established household was effectively used to entice European immigrants to America. These land awards represented windfall wealth that ensured economic opportunity. Hey, please close the door. Offered the opportunity and provided them with the basic tools for learning and living. Hey, please close the door when you get a chance. It also generated a sense of togetherness among European immigrants in the land. The typical colonial family only needed 2 acres of land per capita to produce sufficient food to survive. Stans Liberaget, in his book The Americans and the Economic Road, Liberagat further stated that the greed of European immigrants changed the use of Indian land from limited substance to widespread cash crop farming, from religious inspiration to land speculation for capital gains. It's always been about the money. It's always been about the money. Um, is it available? Oh, my books are available on Amazon, but please don't go to Amazon. Go to my website. Amazon takes 70%. Thanks for answering that question. Amazon takes 70% of the profits. On my website, I get 100%. So in the description, KevinDorver.com, you see the link to my to matter of fact, I'm gonna type it in here just for keepsake. Um, if it'll let me if it'll let me actually leave a comment. But It's kevindover.com, kevindover.com. So definitely go to my website and support. So anyway, Black Label White Wealth, one of the great books you can ever find to read, especially when it comes to um post Civil War era, like how were black folks living? That's something that you guys should be asking yourself. How were black folks actually making a living back then? Did you know that it was actually disease? This is how racist America was. They even labeled that wanting to run away was a disease. For you wanting your freedom was a disease, which makes absolutely no sense. That they would say because you want to run away for your freedom, because you don't want to work 15, 20-hour days for free, because you don't want to eat pig slobs, food to get to the pigs, because you want a better life for your children, because you want to actually be married when and where you want to and who you want to marry. That's another thing. Because you want to get your own house. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to have your own land. You are mentally ill. You are crazy. Need to be in a mental home. That's what they actually called us. You know what I'm saying? That we're crazy because we want to be free. Well, then if that's the case, then we all crazy. Now, all right. So this fly here back in 2017 was from a guy I met in London called Anika. Anika just happened to have a book tour. The same time we were having our book tour, but the night that I went to his book tour, it was at a university in London. I don't want to guess the name of the university, but I could definitely ask some of my friends who were there with me. He was having a lecture on this book, Blackamoores. So Blackamoores is about the Moors, Africans in Tudor London, their presence, status, and origins by Anika. This is a well-written book. He's a professor up there in London, and so what we did was we actually, after we went to Marcus Garvey old apartment up there in London, which was maybe a 5-minute walk from the university. There was someone was walking around giving flyers out, and we looked at the flyer like, oh man, this is going on right now. um, so we went to we went and found where this place was back in October 2017, and it was in a university lecture auditorium and packed house, and we had to squeeze ourselves in. And I even took some notes from that time. The notes are in this book somewhere of what things he was saying. I didn't know about all the black influences they had in the UK, in London. One of the queens in London was black, Queen Charlotte. They had black knights, and how the Moors helped the structures of the buildings and et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, the black Moors are doing their thing up there. So it has a black excellence. You talking about black excellence way before Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, or you have black folks doing their thing out there in London. So even though they weren't the most prominent roles, they were always there for their wisdom, creativity, and hard work and skills and spirituality, their spirit. So definitely, I can just read a quick note in here about just anything here, because I only read some portions of the book, and it's a shame because I had it for so long. But the only reason why I read anything about London, really, is because I want to know how black folks were living in London. And there's no book better than this, especially when you're dealing with the Moors. And also the slave trade. How did it impact the people, the society? How did they overcome it? So things like that is like I love to read. I don't care what part of the world. It could be in Asia. I just saw a picture today. I posted on my page on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Divine Arts and Books, well, actually Divine Books and Arts, on Facebook. Follow that group. So I just posted there was a black man and woman who were in samurai attire. You know what I'm saying? And it's a black and white picture, and they're standing boldly the woman's holding the sword. I'm assuming that's her husband, and he's next to her, but she's the one with the sword in her hand. I mean, very, very powerful imagery. So even in black folks in Japan, a lot of people don't know the first samurais were black. We created samurais. So we all over the place, man. We have a beautiful history. Okay, we're talking about critical. what's that? Critical race theory, et cetera, et cetera. We have some of the best history in the world, and it's on purpose. It's oppressed. Okay, every month it seems taking it further and further, trying to press this information. It's not trying to suppress it. All right, trade in the presence of West Africans in late Tudor England. Tudor, that's a show on Netflix called Tudor. I think I'm gonna watch it. Um, Unguria also claims that West Africans were present in the late Tudor England because of trade, but he suggests that they were the objects being traded by English merchants. Amongst the Africans who Unguria and Habib claim were brought here are a few children, some of who have West African origin or heritage. Some of the African children may have been working in the homes of Spanish, Portuguese plantation owners and traders in the Caribbean before being liberated by the English pirates. An example of an African who may have been employed in this matter, who was a boy called Charles, who was baptized in 1597 at St. Luke's Church, Kensington, London, and who was aged about 10, 11 when he was brought from Guyana in South America by Walter Riley. Walter Riley is a famous pirate, if I'm not mistaken. I heard that name quite a few times. As Marika Sherwood suggests, this boy may have been one of the two who entered domestic service in London and who served Riley during the early years of his imprisonment. A second of the African children is a boy called Anthony, a Blackamoore from Guinea, who the historian Alfred Leslie Rose discusses. He appears in the files of Tudor family called the Throckmortons and Rose, suggests that Anthony lived in Riley's home in Northampton. Now I think I need to look up these guys. So our history is vast, it's everywhere. Oh my, I'm sorry, Paula. Uh, all right, 7 years ago, my parents were eaten by pygmy cannibals. I have never forgotten it. Oh wow, that's troublesome. Melanated people were always all around the world. Yes, yes, yes. We were always around the world, all doing our thing. We'll continue to do our thing. But it's up to us. We can keep talking about our ancestors and give them praises and honors, but ain't no greater honor than taking the work that they've started, whether it was 300 years ago, 200 years ago, 50 years ago, take their work and from their from their work build upon it and take it further than they could have. Perfect example, Toussaint Louverture, Haitian Revolution. He created, one of the first independent Black nations in the Western Hemisphere. You know, but he didn't just want to get us free. He wanted us to develop the country. It's up to the Haitians, the African diaspora, to reinvest in Haiti, not follow what the European media is saying, because they showing you the dilapidated state of Haiti, the poverty, the sickness, the corruption, the violence, but they're not telling you how Haiti got to that state. What policies were in place? What did Europeans do to the constitutions, to the people, to the presidents and leaders assassinated, murdered, kidnapped to put who they wanted in power? You know what I'm saying? What they did to the agriculture. They don't talk about none of that. But us in 21st century, readers, we have the internet, we have laptops, computers, information, newspapers. It's up to us to take the knowledge of what he started back in 1791 and it ended with 1804 when Jean-Jacques Dessalines claimed and made it known that Haiti is free. It's up to us to maintain that freedom and develop Haiti because Haiti was the beacon of hope, not just for Haitians, y'all, not just for Africans, not just for Black folks, for people worldwide. They fought blood, sweat, and tears for 13 years. It's up to us to take books that I just showed you guys, books like this, and there's so many great books, and believe me, I I could have sat here and gave y'all 50 books that are top 10 to me. But up to us to take books like this, these books here, the information that's in it, read it, comprehend it, and build upon it. Share the information with somebody else. Yes, we are behind many Europeans, Gigi, unfortunately, but that was their intentions for us to be behind. But it's up to us to take the information, the knowledge, and power, empower ourselves, empower our people, and be the best, beautiful Black people that we can be to one another. There's no greater example of Black love and a black man and black woman having black babies. Hey, you guys, my name is King Kevin Dorival. I'm out. It's been a pleasure, everybody who's been riding out with me, and answering questions and communicating with me. Thank you. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm thinking about creating another channel and make this just my personal one and one on being a history detective because I just love history. But as y'all know, I'm working on my book extensively, Americans in France, Thousand Year War Against Haiti. I'm really working hard to finish it. There's quite maybe one, two books left for me to read. There's one book called the Winds, the Common Winds. Dealing with the well, actually African American the Common Winds, dealing with the Haitian Revolution and African American influence from that revolution, and also just to probably go over some of the books that I've read already, like this one, Dam in the Flood by Peter Hayward. This one here, the agriculture and the economic development of Haiti. So yeah, I'm on my grind. Anyway, y'all be blessed. I'll be going live again soon, but I'm gonna be doing more videos, professional videos. That's gonna be edited. It's gonna be nice. Might get 100,000 views and get. I want to make money like Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp did. Well, they get paid $3,000 an hour from that interview he did with Shannon Club Shay Shay did with Cat Williams. But that's encouragement for those who actually putting good information out there and want to empower the people like I do. Anyway, it's been a blessing, been a pleasure. Enjoy our evening. Thanks for tuning in.